Okay, hello everyone. It's a bit late, so I'll try to make sure that I will be able to do at least most of the tasks that Daniel mentioned. One quick test. Is my audio and video okay? Could you please verify?
Yes, it's all good.
Okay, great. Yes, so as Daniel mentioned, there are 4 tasks, and due to the lack of time, we probably won't be able to finish all of them. I think I will try to make the first one, and the second one, and the third one. There will be a bit of change because I plan to do it in a bit different way, but Natalia proposed another one, so we will try to make it even more live coding. We will see. Like 11 p.m. is a good time to try live coding, at least for me. So as Daniel mentioned, we will try to create an mutation, GraphQL mutation, that will allow us to create tasks for each of the columns in our board. Second one will be to update the board title, and the third one, pretty similar, about updating the column name. So let me just quickly go to the code. So I pulled the most up-to-date version of the repository, so it should be working right now. Let me just quickly check. Okay, so it seems to be working. So the first task is to actually make a request to the backend to save the task whenever the user adds a task from the bottom of a column. So when we want to update something in GraphQL, we are using mutations for it. And Natalia already explained on the example of create board mutation. In this case, we will be creating another mutation, add task. So let's do it right now. Add task mutation.gql. And because I'm terrible at typing, which is quite funny because I'm a developer, I prefer to just copy and paste the mutation and just explain it step by step, what we see here. So basically, this mutation will accept 3 variables. The first one will be the board ID. So it will be the ID of the board that we want to update. The second one will be the title, so the new title of the task that we want to add, and the type as well. So we will call the board update, and in the filter, we will filter it by the board ID. So we will pass this variable to the mutation, then to the filter, so that we will be updating the certain board. And next, we will add the tasks. We'll create the new ones. And in here, we could pass more if we want to update more than one or create more than one. In this case, we will be passing only an array of one object, which will have the properties of the title here and the type as well, which is passed as a variable. And in return, what we will get is we will get the ID of the board and the tasks. And we want to get the last one because we want to get the last one created. So we will the one we created with this mutation. And with it, we'll just take the items and from it the ID, title, created at, updated at, and due at. So some properties that will be used later on in the application. So this is the first step. The second step, let me just quickly look at the notes, will be to use this mutation in our code. So we will go to the pages, boards, and ID, if I am correct. And in here, what we will do is we will import this exact mutation. So we will import add task mutation from, and it will be GraphQL mutations add task mutation GraphQL. So we have it here. And the next one will be to actually call the same use mutation that Natalia used in her part. Let me just quickly check. It's here. So just copy and paste this one. But we won't be using the use query, only the use mutation. So the next step will be to call use mutation. Maybe let's here. And we will get some properties out of it later on. Yeah, use mutation. And as a parameter, we will pass the mutation that we imported above. So it's here. And as I mentioned, we will be destructuring few properties here, similarly as Natalia did here and probably in a query that I cannot locate right now. But in this case, we will get the mutate, which will be our mutation, the actual method. And let's say that we will give it a name like create task onboard, let's say like this, if I can type correctly. And we also want the on done and on error hooks. And we also name it in a, let's say, different name so that we won't have the naming conflict. So on done creating task, and as well here on error creating task. Okay, so the next step here would be to actually have two methods. The two methods that will be responsible for handling the promise resolve and reject. So it will be task resolve, and it will be a method. And let task reject. It will also be method, and it will be for now just this. And as a parameter here for task resolve, we will pass the task, which will be a type of task. Not sure if you have it. Yeah, we have it. Okay, good. And the second one will be the message. So message will be a type of error. So at this method, we will expect to have some kind of error that we want to handle. And this, we will expect to have some data that we want to display to our application. So going further, we need to update the add task method, because currently what it does, it adds the task like test, but it's only saved on the front end, so that when we refresh, the task is gone. So we want to persist it so that when we create a task, it will actually save it on 8-base. So we need to update the add task function so that we will not save the task here, but we will actually call this mutate here. So we have the promise, we have the resolve, we have the reject. So let's go with assigning the resolve here and the reject here to our task resolve and task reject. So task resolve will be the resolve, and task reject will be reject. Simple as that. And going next, what we need to do, let me just quickly go to the docs. Okay, so now we'll call this mutation here instead of this part here. So we will go with object, and in the object we will pass the board ID, and the board ID will be the board ID.value. So it's this board ID that we are getting from the props. And we will just destructure or spread the task. And I think that's it. We won't be calling the resolve. We're just doing that. I think I removed some kind of okay, so it's just a TypeScript error. And what we need to do last here is to just call these two lifecycle hooks.
Hey, Jakub.
Yes, sure.
I just wanted to mention real quick the kind of discrepancy there you're seeing inside of the add task function is because Natalia did not get around to doing all those GraphQL mutations. But if you will take the result of create task board, if you'll take the task that gets spit out of that, and then resolve that should add it to the board, at least visually. We won't have it saved. We won't have it saved yet to the actual to the order of the board and showing it. But
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So do you prefer to do it on your side, or should I proceed with this approach, or just go with the second and the third issues?
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can do this approach. Just get the
So
results
just
of this.
resolve
Yes. You'll have to see exactly kind of what that returns. The structure may be a little different, but yep, exactly.
Okay, good. So let's go with the next one. And so it's on done creating task. It will be the error and on error, sorry. This. And we want to call the task reject with the error. And we also want to use the functionality provided by Eduardo about the alerts. So alerts. I'm not sure if we have the alerts here, so I won't be using it right now. I will just console log it. Or console error. Some kind of error. And next on done creating task, and it will be some kind of a response that we'll get. And task resolve. So it will be, let me just copy and paste it because it's a long string of data. Like this. And let's say console log. You added a new task. Like this. Okay, so let us try to do it and see if it works. So create task, new task. I will also open the DevTools, new task. So we have some issues. Cannot read properties of undefined reading UID. Okay. This is quite strange. Okay. Was it actually sent? Add task to board. Okay, so the mutation was actually sent. However, the task it's not here. Okay. Strange. So the request was sent and the response was 200. We have the new title. We have the board ID.
Hey, Jakub, I'm making it hard for you, man.
Okay.
I was going to mention I'm not sure the piece that Natalia left off at the end. I'm not sure how all this will affect this. Could you do a console log real quick in the create task function?
Create task, okay.
Yeah, like where you're resolving now. Let's just console log instead.
The result of this method, right?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay.
And we might just leave it there and and go on to the next two tasks. But yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's a promise. Right. Okay.
Sure. So we need to go with like this. It should, right? No, it still doesn't work. It's the same UUID.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange.
Yeah. We can leave this one here, man. And I'll do some cleanup after the end of the day, because we've kind of gotten off a little bit, I think, on some of the all the live coding pushes.
Sure. No worries. So I will try then to make the second one. However, in here, I'm not sure as well, because we don't have the update board mutation. So I would also have to create it from scratch, I believe, because there is only the create board. So
it's inside of id.vue for the boards page.
id.vue page, right?
Yeah, like the individual board. Yeah, exactly. Do we have a hard-coded board ref in there? 23. Yeah. Could you just get it to where it is it's updating that?
Where it's updating the board value.
Where it's updating the board value, exactly.
Here, update board.
Yes, I think that should work.
So this method as a updating the title and the board title and the task in the column title, right? Or something else.
Those column titles exist inside of an order property of the board.
Okay, so I'll try to use them instead.
Yeah, try that.
Okay, so let's try then to update it. So we have so I have to change a bit the code. So update board, we have this one, and yeah, so we'll go with the inputs as far as I understand. So we have the app page heading. We have it here. Okay, so let's change this then from the static text to an input. If I can type input. And this input will actually be a type of text and will have a value of its board, so board.value. String, it's title, okay. Title. And then what we will do is we will catch the event of its key down, and it will be enter. So we want to, on enter, we want to update the task. And so we'll go with the update board. And here, what we'll do is we will just update the board value with the data we want. So in this case, it will be the event dot target, and it will be dot value, but probably TypeScript will shout that it doesn't know this type, so we will cast it to as HTML input element. Okay, this, and we'll finally go with add blur. And this add blur, what it will do, it will just it will be the opposite one. So this one update will be on blur, and this key down enter will trigger the blur instead. So it will be this part here. And it will trigger the blur. Let's see. And it should update this one. So let's have amazing theme at Vue.js Forge. So agree. Okay, so it disappeared. Not read property data. Okay, so this is something that it's not related at all. But why is it empty here? Just quickly check here. So it is updating the board. So what is the value of B here? Okay, so it should set the board value to B, and board value is, let's check this, up page heading. I'm probably missing something really stupid right now. Up page heading, value, it's board title, type text. So board, yeah, so board has its value. It's correctly set to the one I added, but for some reason it's not updating it to the HTML board title. I see. Okay, so board value dot title.
Okay,
right?
cool.
Okay. Yeah, so at least on the front end we can save it. Yeah, so this is like the first task, and the second one was to actually change the columns, name of the columns here. So we'll do something relatively simple to that, and it will also update the front end, but in this case we will go to the, what is the name of the component? Board drag and drop. I think this one. So in here we have the h3, which is the column title, like this backlog. So we will replace it with the similar input for the sake of making it a bit easier. I will also copy the code here. And okay, so it will be type of text. The value will be the column. Was it the column? Column title, okay. So it will be column dot title, single column. And the key down enter will be the same, so it also triggered the blur, and the blur will update the board with the new value. However, in this case, we don't actually have the update board or update the update column unless we have it here somewhere. Or we can even, because I think we have here the emit on the certain column, so we should be able to just go with asserting, or not asserting, equaling the value to the column. So column dot title, and it should be this one. So let's check if that works. Unexpected token. Okay, that's unfortunate. Okay, that is completely not related to what I did. Unexpected token. I see. And this one should be here. Okay, so this one we can also add some styles to it so that it looks a bit better. Class, and it will be MB2, let's say. Yeah, okay. And let's give it also a background transparent. Yeah. Okay. And I also see that for some reason this one updated as well. Not sure why. Okay. It's probably getting the same event. The input is getting the same event or reacting to the same event and triggering this method as well. Okay, so I think that will be it for today. Unfortunately, we haven't managed to dive deeper into the mutations, unfortunately. However, if I have a bit of time, I would also like to share something with you that I have used for some time already in terms of GraphQL mutations and queries. It's tightly, it is related to Nuxt, but I think for Vue.js there are pretty similar libraries as well, if you want to try it out. And it is called the Nuxt GraphQL client. So what I really like about it is that it works very similar to what we have created. So we have the configuration of your GraphQL client, and you can write the queries the way you want, like in this case as .gql files. But in this case, what I really liked about it is that whenever we are triggering this mutation or the query, we also get the type completion. So what this package does is that it is fetching the schema on the fly so that you have access to all types. So in example, if we have the mutation or the query here, maybe not in this case, let's say here, when we will call this mutation in our ID, board ID, or somewhere else, what we'll get in return is the whole types that are defined in the GraphQL or GraphQL playground transferred to TypeScript. So you will have the strings, you will have the numbers, you will have some nested object types, and so on and so on. So this is a little bit of a tip that I'm using on a daily basis in terms of GraphQL mutations and queries. And I believe that will be it.
Mute. Sorry. Thank you so much, Jakub, for this, walking us through all of this. Thank you so much. It was amazing. And so we have a few questions which we can take up. So, okay. So this is kind of a repeated question for other speaker, but well, we want to know from you, what is your preferred way of working with Vue.js? Is it composition of API or options API?
It's well, if this question was asked to me like 2 years ago, I would probably go with the options API, because back then I was using this approach only, and I was a bit afraid of Vue 3 because it was fairly in some ways it was quite similar to React, which I'm not a huge fan of. But when I started building like modules or like daily code with the composition API, I've really started to like it. So from now on, it's almost no way for me to go with the options API. Composition API is much more readable for me. So
awesome.
I would say that preferred version for me is the composition API.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So, okay. So we have the next question regarding to your contribution. So you have contributed to Nuxt CLI. Could you talk briefly about that?
Sure. So for those who are not familiar with Nuxt free, because Nuxt is mainly for Nuxt free. So with Nuxt free, what you get as well is the new CLI that allows you to build your project, to start your project, generate your project, and so on and so on. So I'm on a daily basis working on the backend side as well with Nest.js, and Nest.js has a very advanced CLI that allows you to generate certain types of files. So, for example, the controllers, modules, services, and so on and so on. So I thought that it would be quite cool to have something similar for Nuxt free, especially that they introduced the new Nuxt CLI. So I talked to Puya Parsa, and he said that this idea is pretty interesting, and he recommended me to create some kind of a draft, how it could work, what user could get out of it. So it was pretty interesting because I submitted the draft or the RFC on Thursday, and on Friday it was already merged and released to the Nuxt free US version. So I thought that the people quite liked it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing it. It was really awesome to know that too. Thanks once again, Jakub, for coming today and sharing your knowledge with us. Also at this odd hours, because I think it's quite late, 11:30 now, right? So thank you so much for being here and sharing your knowledge with us. It was really amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.